The office felt cold, empty. Chancellor Palpatine stood by the massive window, watching the endless streams of speeders slice through Coruscant's night sky. "Learn to use the dark side, Anakin," Palpatine said quietly, "and you will have the power to save Padme from certain death." Anakin froze. His chest tightened. The nightmares, seeing Padme die in childbirth, they haunted him every night. Palpatine knew. He'd always known. "I can teach you," the Chancellor continued, turning slowly. His eyes gleamed with something ancient. "Something wrong. I can show you abilities some consider unnatural." Anakin stepped back. You're a Sith Lord." Palpatine smiled. "I am. I have been all along. And I'm the only one who can save her." For just a moment, Anakin felt it, the pull, the promise, the desperate hope that he could change the future. But then he heard Padme's voice in his mind, her faith in him, her belief that he would always choose the right path. He thought of Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, the Jedi who trusted him. No, the word came out stronger than he expected. Palpatine's smile vanished. "What did you say?" "No," Anakin repeated, hand moving to his lightsaber. "I won't fall for this. You've been manipulating me, the Republic, the entire war. Everything." Palpatine's face darkened. "You're making a terrible mistake." "Maybe," Anakin said, backing toward the door. "But it's my choice." He turned and ran. Through the Senate corridors, heart pounding, boots echoing against marble floors. He had to reach the temple. Had to warn them. Palpatine was Sidious. The Sith Lord they'd hunted for years had been right there the whole time. Anakin burst into the council chamber, lightsaber already ignited. Mace Windu stood immediately. "Anakin, what's happened?" "It's Palpatine," Anakin gasped. "He's the Sith Lord, Darth Sidious. He just tried to turn me to the dark side." Silence filled the chamber. Every council member stared at him. Mace Windu's hand dropped to his lightsaber. His jaw set like stone. "Then we end this," Windu said. "Right now." Mace Windu moved fast. "No debate. No hesitation." Within minutes, he'd assembled his team: Kit Fisto, Agen Kohler, C.C. Tyen, and Anakin. Some council members questioned bringing Skywalker along, but Windu insisted. If Palpatine tried his mind tricks again, Anakin needed to be there to resist. They marched through the Senate like a storm approaching. Palpatine was waiting for them. The Chancellor stood calmly in his office, hands folded behind his back. But his eyes were yellow now. No more pretending. "Master Windu," Palpatine said smoothly. "What a surprise." "Chancellor Palpatine," Windu said coldly. "You're under arrest for treason against the Republic and for being a Sith Lord." Palpatine chuckled softly. "Are you threatening me, Master Jedi? The Senate will decide your fate." "I am the Senate." Then everything exploded into chaos. Palpatine moved like lightning itself. His red lightsaber ignited in a blur. He spun, cutting down Kohler and Tyen before they could even react. Kit Fisto blocked once, twice, then fell. Mace Windu met Palpatine's blade head-on. The duel was savage. Pure fury against perfect control. Purple against red. The office shattered around them, glass exploding, furniture blasted apart, as the two masters clashed. Anakin stood frozen, not from fear, from focus. He could feel Palpatine clawing at his mind. Promises, lies, whispers about saving Padme. But Anakin pushed it all away. He ignited his lightsaber and stepped forward. Palpatine's eyes widened. "Anakin, don't be a fool. I'm done being your tool," Anakin said. He attacked. Now Palpatine faced two Jedi Masters at once. Windu struck high. Anakin struck low. The Sith Lord screamed in rage, unleashing a storm of Force lightning. Windu caught on his blade. Anakin rolled under it and slashed Palpatine across the back. The Dark Lord howled. Mace Windu's blade came down in one final, decisive strike. Palpatine collapsed, dead. Anakin stood there, breathing hard, staring at the body. It was over. Sidious was gone. "You made the right choice," Windu said quietly. But somewhere across the galaxy, a signal had already been sent. Order 66. Anakin's comlink crackled to life. General Skywalker. A clone's voice came through. Static. Emotionless. New orders received. Stand by. Something about that tone made Anakin's stomach drop. Wait. What orders? He demanded. Only static answered. Mace Windu was already at the holo display, scanning reports from across the galaxy. Red alerts flashed on world after world. Kashyyyk. Mygeeto. Felucia. Cato Neimoidia. What's happening? Anakin asked, moving closer. The clones, Windu said grimly. They're turning on the Jedi. Anakin's heart stopped. Order 66. Windu spun around. What? A contingency protocol, Anakin explained quickly. Palpatine mentioned it once. Embedded deep in the clones' programming. If activated, they'd eliminate all Jedi as traitors to the Republic. And he triggered it before we killed him, Windu said through clenched teeth. We need to warn everyone. Immediately, the temple erupted into controlled chaos. Anakin sprinted to the communications center, shoving past confused Jedi and technicians. He punched the override codes and opened every channel across the holonet. This is General Anakin Skywalker, he said, voice urgent and clear. Emergency alert to all Jedi forces. The clone troopers have been compromised. I repeat, do not trust the clones. Chancellor Palpatine was the Sith Lord we've been hunting. He implanted control chips in every clone soldier. They will attack you without hesitation. Retreat immediately. Regroup at designated safe points. Survive. He transmitted it 3 times on every frequency. Then cut the signal. Across the galaxy, Jedi heard the warning. On Kashyyyk, Master Yoda sensed the betrayal a heartbeat before the clones fired. He deflected their shots and vanished into the jungle. On Utapau, Obi-Wan heard Anakin's message just as Commander Cody raised his blaster. Kenobi spun, blocked the shot, and dove into the ocean far below. On Felucia, Aayla Secura cut through 2 clones and reached her starfighter just in time. But not everyone made it. Ki-Adi-Mundi fell on Mygeeto. Stas Ali's speeder exploded on Sayla Kami. PLO Kuhn's fighter was destroyed over Cato Neimoidia. The Jedi Order was bleeding, but it was fighting back. The Separatist Council thought they were safe. Hidden on Mustafar, buried deep in the Outer Rim, they waited for instructions from Darth Sidious. For promises of power in his new empire. But Sidious was dead, and Anakin Skywalker was coming for them. He led a strike force of Jedi Knights and loyal Republic soldiers, troops who'd never been chipped. Their gunships punched through Mustafar's ash-choked atmosphere, descending toward the volcanic facility below. Anakin, Obi-Wan's voice crackled over the comm. Are you absolutely certain about this approach? They funded the entire war, Anakin replied coldly. Built the droid armies. Killed billions. They don't get to walk away from this. A pause. Then, may the Force be with you, old friend. The gunship slammed onto the landing platform. Doors hissed open. Anakin stepped out first, lightsaber already ignited, blue blade humming in the smoky air. Inside the facility, panic erupted. Newt Gunray scrambled backward. What Tambor's mechanical voice stuttered in fear. Poggle the Lesser tried to flee. All of them cowards who'd hidden behind droids and politics while worlds burned. Skywalker, Gunray shrieked. You can't do this. We have rights. We demand a trial. Anakin's blade ended his protest instantly. The others tried to run. None made it far. One by one, the architects of the Clone Wars fell. No speeches. No excuses. Just consequence. When it was finished, Anakin stood in the center of the conference room, surrounded by silence. His hands were steady. His breathing calm. This wasn't the dark side. This was what justice looked like when the galaxy finally stopped pretending. It's done, he said into his comm. Mace Windu's voice responded immediately. The Separatist droid armies are shutting down across every system. Without central command, their networks collapsed completely. Anakin, the war is over. Over. 3 years of bloodshed. Billions of lives lost. Entire civilization shattered. And now, silence. Anakin walked back toward the landing platform. Obi-Wan waited there, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "You all right?" Obi-Wan asked gently. "I will be," Anakin said. "Where do we go from here?" Anakin looked up at the ash-filled sky. "Home. Back to Coruscant. The Republic needs rebuilding. And so do we." Anakin found her standing by the apartment window, hands resting gently on her belly. "Padme." She turned. Tears filled her eyes immediately. She ran to him, as fast as she could, and he caught her, holding her like he'd never let go again. "I was terrified," she whispered into his shoulder. "When I heard about Palpatine, about the clones turning, I thought I'd lost you. I'm here," Anakin said softly. "And I'm not going anywhere. Not ever." She pulled back, searching his face. "What happened out there?" "I made the right choice," Anakin said simply. "For the first time in a long time, I actually did the right thing." She smiled through her tears and kissed him. For one perfect moment, the galaxy felt whole again. But the work was only beginning. The Senate descended into chaos. With Palpatine dead and his inner circle arrested, there was no clear leadership. Senators fought for power. Some demanded a return to the old republic. Others wanted military rule to keep order. Padme stepped into that void. She stood before the full Senate, calm and commanding, her voice cutting through the noise like a blade. "We've been deceived," she said clearly, "manipulated, used as tools in a Sith Lord's war. That ends today. Right now, we have a choice. We can tear ourselves apart fighting for scraps of power, or we can rebuild. Together." The Senate listened. Slowly, carefully, Padme began building alliances. She worked closely with Mon Mothma and Bail Organa to draft a new constitution. One that stripped away emergency powers permanently. One that gave star systems more independence. One that placed real limits on military authority. Anakin stood beside her throughout it all, not as a general, but as a witness. He testified before the Senate about Palpatine's manipulation, about the control chips, about how the Jedi had failed to see what was right in front of them. It was painful, humbling, but it was honest. Months passed. Padme's pregnancy advanced. Anakin spent his days helping rebuild the Jedi Order and his nights preparing for fatherhood. One evening, as they sat together watching Coruscant sunset, Padme took his hand. "You're going to be an amazing father," she said quietly. Anakin smiled, but wondered, what kind of galaxy would his children inherit? The council chamber felt emptier than ever before. 5 masters, empty seats, a silence that had never existed here before. Anakin stood in the center, facing Yoda, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, and a handful of council members who'd survived. "The Jedi failed," Anakin said bluntly. Mace Windu's expression hardened. "Careful, Skywalker." "Why?" Anakin challenged. "It's the truth. We were so focused on being peacekeepers that we missed the war happening right in front of us. A Sith Lord ran the Republic for 13 years. We became generals in a war we never should have fought. And what would you have us do differently?" Windu demanded. "Evolve," Anakin said simply. The room went silent. Yoda's ears twitched slightly. "Continue, you will. Listen, we shall." Anakin took a breath. "The code says there is no emotion, only peace. But that's impossible. Emotions aren't the enemy. Fear of emotions is. I love Padme. I'm not ashamed of that. That love saved me from the dark side." Obi-Wan looked away. He'd known all along. "The Order forbids attachment because we're afraid of loss," Anakin continued. "But loss is part of life. Running from it doesn't make us wise. It makes us disconnected, cold. The galaxy doesn't need monks hiding in a temple. It needs protectors who actually understand what people are fighting for. And the dark side, Windu pressed. Attachment leads to fear. Fear leads to, I know the litany," Anakin interrupted. "But maybe the problem isn't attachment itself. Maybe the problem is we never taught Jedi how to love without falling. We just told them not to love at all. And when they did anyway, we cast them out." Master Yoda closed his ancient eyes. "Painful," Your words are, but truth they carry. The debate lasted for hours. Some council members clung desperately to tradition. Others saw the wisdom in Anakin's challenge. Slowly, painfully, compromise emerged. The Jedi would remain peacekeepers, but independent from the Senate. Transparent. Accountable. Jedi could form attachments, but would be trained to manage them. To love without possessiveness. To grieve without revenge. And the council would include younger voices. Knights. Even former Jedi who'd left the Order. It was radical. Dangerous. But absolutely necessary. Luke's training saber came down hard, but Anakin blocked it easily. Too aggressive, Anakin said calmly, "You're letting frustration guide your strikes." "I'm trying," Luke protested. "I know you are." Anakin lowered his blade. "But trying without focus accomplishes nothing. Feel the Force. Trust it. Let it flow through your movements naturally." Luke centered himself, took a breath, and attacked again. This time Anakin actually had to work to deflect it. He smiled. Much better. Across the training yard, Leia sparred with Obi-Wan. She moved faster than her brother. More precise, less raw power, but significantly more control. "You fight like your mother," Obi-Wan observed, blocking her calculated strikes. "Is that supposed to be a compliment?" Leia asked with a smirk. "Absolutely," Obi-Wan replied warmly. At 8 years old, the twins already showed extraordinary potential. Luke was strong in the Force, impulsive, constantly eager to prove himself. Leia was strategically brilliant, sharp, completely unafraid to challenge authority. They were unmistakably their parents' children. Anakin watched them with immense pride and a fear he couldn't quite shake. Every night, he still had nightmares. Not about Padme dying anymore. Those had finally stopped. But about what he could have become. Visions of himself in black armor. A monster. A slave to darkness. He'd wake in cold sweats, and Padme would hold him until the fear passed. "They're going to be stronger than either of us," she whispered one night. "I know," Anakin admitted. "That's exactly what terrifies me." "Why?" "Because strength without wisdom is dangerous. And I'm not sure I'm wise enough to teach them properly." Padme smiled gently. "Good thing they have me too, then." The twins grew quickly. By age 10, they could sense emotions through the Force, move objects with their minds, and deflect training blaster fire with relative ease. But Anakin didn't just teach combat. He taught restraint, emotional control, compassion above all else. He shared his own struggles, his anger, his fear, his near fall to darkness. He didn't hide his mistakes. He used them as lessons. "The dark side whispers," Anakin told them one evening on the temple balcony. "It justifies. It makes you believe you're doing the right thing. So stay vigilant. Question yourself constantly, and never be afraid to ask for help." But far beyond known space, in the unknown regions, something ancient was stirring. The galaxy hadn't known real peace in generations. But now, finally it did. Trade routes flourished. Worlds rebuilt. The scars left by the Clone Wars slowly faded into history. Children grew up hearing war stories as distant legends, not lived nightmares. The Jedi Temple buzzed with life. Not soldiers preparing for battle, but students learning the ways of the Force. Anakin Skywalker, now a senior council member, walked the temple halls with quiet pride. Gray streaked his hair. Experience lined his face. But his eyes still burned with that same fierce determination. Padme Amidala Skywalker served as Supreme Chancellor, elected by a Senate that had learned, painfully, the cost of blind trust. She'd aged gracefully, her voice still commanding absolute respect. Together, they'd built something truly worth protecting. Luke and Leia, now 22, were full Jedi Knights. Luke carried his father's raw power and his mother's compassionate heart. Leia possessed her mother's political brilliance and her father's unshakable determination. The galaxy looked at them and saw hope made real. But hope has always attracted shadows. The first warning came from the Chiss Ascendancy, a mysterious power beyond the Outer Rim. Their blue-skinned emissaries arrived at the Senate with deeply troubling reports. Entire fleets vanishing in the unknown regions. Colonies going silent without explanation. Whispers of dark power rising in the void. The Sith, Anakin said immediately. The Sith are extinct, Mace Windu countered firmly. We killed Sidious ourselves. We ended the rule of two permanently. We ended one Sith Lord, Anakin corrected. But the dark side is far bigger than two people. They're always survivors. Cultists. Hidden acolytes. Palpatine planned for everything. Why wouldn't he have contingencies for this too? Master Yoda, ancient beyond measure now, nodded slowly. Right, Skywalker is. Underestimate the dark side. We must never. Investigate, we should. Luke and Leia volunteered instantly. Absolutely not, Padme said firmly. Mom, we're Jedi Knights, Leia protested. You trained us for exactly this. Then we go together, Anakin decided. As a family, as their fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, Anakin stared out at the stars. Padme took his hand. Do you sense it? Yeah, Anakin said quietly. Something's waiting out there. Something old. The ships jumped into hyperspace. And in the darkness between stars, something smiled.